Speaking of people who haven't cut the cord, maybe watching at home, a new report from Bankrate finds that guess what? People who sort of got a taste for it over the pandemic, they kind of like it, right? So, according to the numbers, 64% of people like a fully remote environment, 68% like a hybrid environment. But guess what? Most people, 81%, want a 4-day work week, right?
I mean, so I would love a 4-day week.
Yeah,
You guys have the stock market close on Fridays?
Yeah, and I'm not surprised this is the case, but I think it would be different if you said you can only pick one of each. I think if you can only pick one of the three, I would say that hybrid would probably win out. But if you're talking about 4-day work week, of course people want to have that. Plus maybe hybrid too.
But I don't want the 4-day work week, and here's where you're always curious, like sort of how the questions are phrased. Am I supposed to produce the same amount of work? Because then I really don't. I'm going to be honest.
No,
I don't want a 4-day work week.
You work more than 8 hours a day, don't you?
Right.
Right.
So then if you condense it, I'm still supposed to do the same amount of output, call it X amount of articles or X amount of things.
Yeah, sure.
Then how are you going to do that in 4 days? You're going to work so many hours, it's not even going to make sense. You're not going to exist from Monday through Thursday.
You don't want that Friday, every Friday
off.
I
would rather
also
work
don't think
until
you can take.
8 p.m.
I don't think you can take 3 days off in a row and not be behind.
Who is this guy?
What do you mean? You just log off for 3 days?
Were you just creating a test tube somewhere from upper management?
No, I'm being honest. I'm being honest about how you work.
So what do you want to do? You want to work 5 days a week? You know what? You should work at Goldman Sachs because David Solomon,
I don't want to work at all.
Exactly.
I don't want to work at all like the rest of us, but you have to work. So at some point, I'd like to
David Solomon.
David Solomon, you're David Solomon's ideal employee because he's taking away summer Fridays. He's saying everyone has to be in the office 5 days a week. The banks sort of set the standard at times.
Well, I didn't give my stance on hybrid work. I didn't say I wanted to be in the office every day.
Okay, so 5 days a week, but you're remote or?
A little bit of hybrid. I like the option.
Well,
I like the option for every now and then. Too. Every now and then you don't have to come in all the time, but I do personally value office collaboration.
So you're saying if they were like 4 days a week, don't have to work more, just 4 days a week. Obviously, you would take that, right?
Yeah.
But you're saying don't make me work more during those 4 days. That's your whole point.
I'm saying if there are 10 things, call it 10 things you have to do a week,
right?
And you now can only have 4 days to do them, that's a pretty stressful 4 days.
I don't know if I fully agree with that, but I do think the pandemic has really changed how people approach work, how people approach even sick days. I mean, apparently today, August 24th, is the most called out day of the year, which feels so random to me.
It's the end of summer.
But I've even noticed myself, I used to never take a sick day in my life. And then I had 104-degree fever in March for like 3 or 4 days. And I was like, you know what? I'm taking a sick day. I was very proud of myself for that.
You should.
I think you should have taken that day off.
I needed to.
I think Pras and I are glad you took that day off.
So I don't take sick days.
If you're sick, stay home.
He wants to work 5 days a week. We're just a weird bunch here. Pras is the only cool guy that like goes off to California for his assignments, hanging out with like the Rolls Royce like CEO. We gotta take a page out of Pras.
Take sick days every now and then. You know, it's what I do.